Welcome to another episode of the County Business Sports Podcast, where we'll be conversing with the great and the good from the world of sport and business about everything about sport in Sussex, from foot golf to fencing, from wakeboarding to weightlifting and everything in between. We'll be sure to cover it and asking our guests what makes them tick and why business and sport go hand in hand. The podcast is sponsored by James Ross Jewellers, family jewellers in Sussex for generations. Now, as we all know, I couldn't do this alone. As always, I'm with my colleague, Stato, the real sports expert that is the legend that is Lawrence Elphick. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Sam. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. I was going to change from Stato after all the
Yeah, I was going to say, can
time.
you stop saying Stato? Because every time you do, I pick up something and I get told, no, that's wrong.
Yeah. I hope you've done your research this time.
Well, I try, you know.
I know, mate, I know. Listen,
Don't give me a hard time, come on.
mate, Cracker, listen, why don't you introduce our next guest?
Well, I'm delighted to welcome to the studio the one and only cricket legend, Sussex and Glamorgan cricket legend, predominantly Sussex, of course, the legend that is Tony Cottey. Welcome, Cotts.
You said legend 4 times then.
I know. That's it, I won't say anymore.
What I would say is it's an honour to be next to you, the spoof legend, because I think that was the first time we ever met over a game of spoof, I think, in the pump house in
Drinking
Brighton.
game, Sam. Drinking game, Sam.
Which he was pretty average at, I got to be honest.
Yeah, there was about 10 of us. It was the Albion, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and the cricket club.
Yeah.
And about 10 of us. I forget which pub it was, but it was in the lanes.
Pump
House, wasn't it? Yeah, Pump House.
Yeah. Love it.
And we played spoof. And I can't even remember how you play the game, but long story short, there was always a double vodka sitting in the middle of the table for the eventual loser. And one by one, people go out. You've not played it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I've played,
Yeah, so suffice it to say, I pretty much lost every round, got absolutely hammered, and that was the first time I met him.
Yeah, to be fair, the one you couldn't remember where the pub was, to be fair. There was no ways you remember in a pub going out of it. And the line when you win, you got to say, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure spoofing with you. If you get that wrong, you're back in the hat, right? Lawrence back in. In you get.
It got worse. It got worse. It was spoofing, wasn't it? I couldn't say spoofing. All I could say was spoofing with you. So it was back in the hat.
Mate, that's what we should have done. Got some vodka in, would have had
Yeah.
Had been a good
I don't think
podcast.
this would have gone on air then.
Yeah.
Welcome, Cotts.
Thanks, mate.
Great to have you here. We'll crack on. Of course, just want to talk about your sport, growing up and getting to where you were, and also, of course, taking it into business today, and eventually how you used what you got from the sporting world in business today. But you were born in Swansea.
Yep.
Originally from Port Eynon, is that how you pronounce?
Port Eynon.
Eynon.
Yeah, Port Eynon. My dad was from Port Eynon. My gran had a B&B down there, so on the coast, Gower Peninsula, and so I was probably down there a lot for holidays and stuff like that, because my dad moved me to another part of the Gower when I was about 8 months old, something like that, and he set up his own business haulage company called Port Eynon Transport. So it's a huge link. They got married there. That's where they used to go for a drink, and like I said, I spent all my summers down there really. So yeah, I could have ended up a farmer. He was going to be left a farm by his uncle, and his uncle probably drunk away the farm money. And at 26, he was stuffed really. So he borrowed some money and bought like a 4-wheel Dodge and set up this Port Eynon Transport. And thankfully, I'm not milking the cows.
That would have been an image to see.
I'm a very practical person, me, as you know. God, two left feet, 2 left hands.
Wouldn't take you long to get under the udders, would it?
Oh, there you go.
There
First
we
one
started
in.
already.
First one in.
already.
It'd have been handy though for the ice cream, no?
Yes. Cow to the con.
Don't talk about ice cream yet.
Sorry,
We ain't there yet.
Just jumping in and on. Yeah. Go on.
Tell me about life growing up then, for you.
Oh, pretty idyllic, really. And in the early 70s, I was 66, I was born, so late 60s, early 70s. One village, probably about 30, 40 kids, all different ages. So you end up playing sport with people 12, 15 years older than you sometimes, it's amazing, really, And so small little village, 3 crosses, could play cricket, play football on the road, see one car every 20 minutes. And surrounded by a lot of, common land and things like that. So it was a great place. You just go out at go out after school and then come back when the sun went down, like a lot of people of my age, I suppose. But yeah, loved it. Come from a sporting family, so to speak, in that they both loved sport, my mother and my father, and I had a lot of encouragement. And I think that if I had stayed in Port Eynon, I would have struggled to probably get an early taste of I suppose representative, or getting involved in representative teams and things like that. So yeah, it was a good move for me when my father shipped us up there, and that's how really I started love of sport, really, from about 4 or 5 years of age.
Oh, okay, because your father played cricket for Swansea itself.
Yeah.
Have your family always been into sport?
Yeah, I mean, well, you know my partner Lindsay, when she comes down to our house, she don't get a sniff of the telly. My mother and father were always watching sport, I was watching sport, so yeah, she used to bring her books down to do a bit of work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're always involved. My mother took up golf in her 40s, and was down to about 10 or 11. She played really well. Father, I opened the batting with my dad for Swansea seconds when I was 11, I think, 11 or 12, and he always used to take me to the games when he was playing. He had the haulage business Monday to Friday. Saturday the lorries were off the road, so he'd be the mechanic, going with the mechanic, get them fixed, and then Saturday afternoon was his cricket day. And he dressed me in my whites from 5 years of age, take me to the cricket, and I'd be round the house and they'll be throwing balls at me from when I was 5, you know. And you look back on it now and you think that's a big sacrifice. It was his big afternoon with his mates and playing cricket, but he used to take me, you know, and that's how I got into it, really. I think I was 9 when someone didn't turn up, and I ended up fielding, and the ball was like a melon. I remember this big catch went up, right, and it looked like a melon coming down, you know, because it's a bigger ball in it, you know. But and I dropped it as well. But
oh no!
Yeah, I did drop it. But I had your sympathy for it. I was only 9 when I.
Yeah.
I won 6 foot, mine. At 9, you know, shrunk since.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
It's been a hard life.
You know, everything revolved around sport, really. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because you played rugby, didn't you, for a little bit?
Played a bit of rugby. You had to in our school. We had a really good football team. We had one chance of playing in the Swansea leagues, and we won everything. And then our PE teacher, who was an ex-first-class rugby player, put us back into the rugby, not football now. And you used to get battered. I was scrum half. You get battered every.
You were scrum half.
Yeah,
I was going to ask. Yeah.
And,
I had you down as a hooker.
But so it's. Sport was, like I said, you play 4 times a weekend. I think, you know, like I don't know if kids do that now, but of my era, you school rugby, football if we could get a game, and then you play football for your club, and you play rugby for the local rugby club as well. So it's like fun.
I remember talking to we had Kerry Mayo on here. We was talking about that, and growing up, I remember that, just playing all the time. Like you said, even about playing out in the street, and you know, you play in the field, and you go there, and you play all day until the sun goes down, and that was it. And it's so different now, isn't it? Like,
so everything's too safe, isn't it? Everyone's a bit nervous. I was saying with my kids, you know, I remember you'd climb in trees which are about 40 foot high when you're 7, 8 years of age.
Wouldn't even think about it.
Wouldn't think about it.
No.
And, you know, I'd get a clip of one of the older kids in the village, father crying, going, "Oh, father, just turned me around and pushed me back out the door and sorted out." You know, it was very much, you know, it taught you a lot of things, didn't it? Really, you know, it taught you how to. I'd say survive seems a bit, you know, bit deep, but it certainly give you some good life lessons, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
mate, and just be like we talked about that, just being around sport in general, being in that changing room banter that you can't get anywhere else in it. But for everything you do in life, like you said, you go into business and we talk about that, and you go into, you know, a networking event, but you're able to hold a conversation because you've been around that, just being able to communicate, and you want under that younger generation, they miss out on that, but maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, it's interesting that, as well, just touching on how much sport you played. Football and rugby definitely got me into the cricket, because I was. But now, if you look at T20 cricket, the fielding is fantastic, right? If you're average, you stand out like a sore thumb. When I started playing, the fitness was of a darts team, right? And when I went in there, I was picked for Glamorgan, right, in the John Player League game, and batted number 9 because I saved 20 runs in the field. That's how poor the fielding was, and that's all down to football. I never practiced the fielding when I was. Well, you're out and about, but I never did drills or anything. But the turning in football, you know, all the movements in football and rugby made me the cricketer, and I got the fielder, especially. And when people say, "Oh, you've got to pack in one sport because you're good at football," say you've got to pack in every other sport when you're 11, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because it gives you good grounding, you know, all different sports.
Yeah. Football was your first love, though, wasn't it?
Oh, it's always been my first love, football. Yeah, I was always a better footballer than cricketer, but I was coming to the age where I was doing both. I played for Glamorgan twos at 15, and then John Toshak was manager of the Swans, and second year in the first division, and I didn't think I was always training with the Swans, and I never thought that I'd be one of the ones who'd be picked up for apprentice. Yeah. And then, lo and behold, they offered me the apprenticeship because obviously I didn't grow from probably about 13 to 15. I didn't grow, and others did, and it became a very physical game. Yeah. And I was sent to midfield, and I even when I was a pro, I wasn't quick, and I wasn't very big. My game was all about picking passes and stuff like that, sent to midfield, and finding space. And those 2 years were hard work because everyone shot up, and my mate next door played for Wales under 15s, and he was always behind me all the way through. He's in the same school, lived next door, still a good mate of mine, and he got picked for Wales at under 15. And I was always the one coming all the way up that was going to kick on, and then I couldn't even get in the Swansea schoolboys team at under 15. That's how much it left me behind.
Wow.
And there was a guy, Alan Lovell, an ex-pro, who was Dunbar and Three Crosses. It was my team. And my dad went to him and said, what can he do? And he got me running around the village at like, what would have been, 13 years of age. Right, yeah, so I used to do 3 miles. Get me to do 3 miles at that age, he said, because you'll dominate the last 20 minutes of a game if you're fitter than everyone else. So that's where my run is, the fitness, the training. I train every day now, and it's not because, well done me, it's just mentally something I've got to do. Because it was instilled in me from when I was 13, really, from this Alan level. Get out, get yourself as fit as you can, be the best you can be.
Didn't you get an apprenticeship with Swansea at 16?
Yeah, 16. 2-year apprenticeship, and I was 1 year pro, yeah.
But you didn't play many games?
I played 3 Football League games, a couple of cup games, and things like that. It was when the Swans, I always say, I was very fortunate. I was at the Swans, were in the first division, the second division, and the third division. And unfortunately, it was that order too. First, we went down a division because they lost all their players. I don't know if you remember, Save Our Swans.
Vaguely,
They had a Stevie Wonder concert there to raise money and things like that. I used to go out in the apprentice, and I'd have to take the Sherpa vans to the game. The apprentices would drive. I'd have to go and fill them up with juice, and they wouldn't. None of the petrol stations, it had to be cash. No, it wouldn't give Swans credit or anything.
Wow,
it was that bad. So all the players, the big players that came from Liverpool. Who we talking about, Ray Kennedy, we had Alan, a long time ago this, but Alan Curtis, Bob Latchford, people like that, Robbie James, great players.
I remember those players.
Yeah, they all had to leave because we were skint. And then the year above me, which was some good players, and Colin Pascoe played for Wales, Dean Saunders was in that, and they then went into the first team, and it was tough because it was physical when you went down to the second division, the old second division, and then the third, man. I mean, we were still playing football combination against West Ham, Tottenham, all the London clubs. I played against Hoddle, Ardiles, Graham Ricks, Jerry Francis, all them. And it was great, lovely pitches, proper football. And then I get picked in the first team, and it'd be Rotherham at home on a mud bath, like just see my knees out of the mud, and I wouldn't get a kick.
Yeah, right? Where's Cotts?
Yeah, I played Wimbledon in a pre-season friendly, right? So it was hard, hard ground and that. The smallest bloke was a keeper. Honestly, the ball never went anywhere near me. It was always up in the air, elbows, and it was just, that's why I really enjoyed my time at the Swans when I was playing combination, because it was fantastic. I just wish I could have gone on another year, had another crack at it, because I was 8.5 stone, I think, dripping wet, 5'4", and the first team was playing on these mud baths, and you look at it now, and it's different game, isn't it?
Yeah. But all that time you centre mid, that was your position with it.
Yeah, play. Well, I wasn't in goal, was I?
Funny
you and me both, mate.
Because you were released, weren't you, by John Bond?
Is that a nice word for sacked?
Yeah.
I often get asked,
given the Spanish Archer,
why do you choose cricket instead of football? There's not much choice in the sack, is there? Yeah. But I played against Birmingham. I did well against Birmingham. And they were the most northerly of the combination, because it was all the London clubs, and there was talk that they'd take me on a little trial and stuff like that for 6 months or whatever, and I got released, sacked, whatever, the bullet, whatever you want to call it, by recorded delivery. It's still something that sits with me now, because my dad opened the letter on a Monday morning saying,
wow,
that's how I was told, and he was very, very upset. He was crying, my dad, and then he had to come up and show me the letter. So it's something you look at now. That era of football was bullying. You think about bullying, it was the most unbelievable dressing room.
Really?
Oh, wow. I mean, there was fights every week, 2 or 3 fights in training. I'll tell you a story. Should I name names here? Probably.
Yeah, go on.
Well, Phil Borsma was the assistant manager at the Swans, right? And man, he ruled with a rod of iron. Like, the kids were so scared. If you picked the net of balls up to take the training, he'd have a property for the way you were carrying them. You knew it was your day. Because one apprentice would have it at training, and they would nip him all the time. And in the end, could he still trap a bag of cement by the end of the training? Because they were, honing you at 16 years of age. It was. I think you know a bit in the book where I got injured at 16, dead leg. And dead leg's a dead leg whether you're 16 or 36.
Yeah.
And I had this ultrasound, and we didn't have a physio because Liverpool didn't have a physio, and we did everything like Liverpool did. So we had an ultrasound on my, those ultrasound things, you put gel down on your thigh like that. Yeah. And then one of the other coaches rings him up. I think it was about how do we get to Old Trafford on Saturday or something, like what's the journey and all that. And he forgets about rubbing it on my leg. So I was so scared of Bosman at 16, right? And it was burning me, like. I wasn't going to say nothing, it's burning. And in the end, it was too much. And I just, I knocked it out of his hand, knocked the phone out, and he just looked down at me and laughed, with a big burn mark on my leg. So it was it was just different gravy back then, because now everything is politically correct. Maybe it's a bit wokey or whatever you want to call it, but it taught me some massive lessons and also hardened me up, really hardened me up, toughened me up as a kid. And you had to sink or swim.
I guess, like you say, from a resilience point of view, like having to deal with that sort of stuff, and like you say, we'll go on to it later, going into business. But then those type of lessons, like you say, life lessons more than anything that you go and take them on to. For you bloody hell. But you're right, it's a completely different world now. Like in the changing room, and what's your take then on like things like with soft skills and how that should be and how it is?
Yeah, it's massive, aren't they? I mean, to live in a dressing room, I was lucky when I was 16 to 38 in the dressing room. Years of age. So I go back to when you're really hungry, you do anything to get in that team, and you can be nasty sod, right? And I was, I try to do anything to get in that team. But once you're in and you're established, it's not a bad place to be because everyone's hungry in that, right? And then when you get past that and you have a couple of good seasons, right? You think your voice is more important than your performance. I used to call that the political stage of you, right? If you've got a team of those kind of people, right, you're going to struggle, right, because it's toxic. So you need to get out of that one into the third bit, which is generally people who are their team is the most important thing. You're just a cog in a team, and if it's a young kid, even if he's a batter, you go and help him. Then if you get a team of them, then you go in places. I was lucky to be in a few teams like that, but I was also in the early part of my career in teams which was like the toxic bit as well. And so in answer to your question of soft skills, once you've been through that, you kind of understand that people can read between the lines, can't they? They can read between the lines. False modesties and all that. It's a load of rubbish, really. You prep well and you try and help your teammates and stuff like that because ultimately it's a team game and you want to win things. So all those soft skills of how to get the best out of people, you watch other people, who are older than you and have been there and done it before, and try and pick up the best bits of them. And it certainly helps in business. I mean, I was lucky that, I dealt with millionaires who in my last job, millionaires who own their own business. Sam at the gate, right? He's fantastic. He's just got it in spades. And then there's the supporters at Sussex, from all walks of life. And then you've got a CEO like Rob Andrew comes down, legend rugby player. And then you'll meet somebody who's quite hard work who's a sponsor as well. And you've got to swallow your pride a bit and try and manipulate that situation so that you've got some common ground. So you continually, in the last year of business relationship, you continually, feeding off what you picked up in the dressing room, I think.
Yeah. Because ultimately I guess that side of it, it's all down to communication, how you talk to different people at different levels, whatever it is, you can, as long as you can hold that conversation, have a communication with someone, then you can build a relationship, which is out of it.
Yeah. I never knew of networking until I came to Brighton.
Really?
To be honest, obviously I wasn't in that kind of world, field really. I was very lucky when I finished that I went into my mate's wife got me a job as a training advisor because I was stuffed. I finished in Sussex, lost all my contacts in Wales. I had to go back, young family, and she got me an interview. And I got the job, and as a training advisor. And basically, there was people who'd been out of work for 3 generations, families like that in Llanelli, alcohol, drugs, stuff like that, and they were brought back into college to say do secretarial courses and things like that, and for that they'd have childcare, and then my job was to put them in front of get a tutor, so we do assess them, and then I'd try and get them a placement. It was free placement, and work those 3 together. So that was a good grounding but network, I didn't know what networking was, and I got into a bit of sales, so it just morphed. There's no plan really. It was just just one thing to the next really.
Go. Can I take this back to the old sport?
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No,
Get carried away.
No, I was just going to ask you, because you're the businessman, I'm the sporting buffoon. I think it's the expression.
Stato.
No, I was going to ask, because when you got into cricket, you had a choice with Glamorgan, but you had a choice to go to Birmingham City, I believe.
Yeah, I
Was
say
that
choice
to play football?
Yeah, there was an offer kind of thing that there was go on a trial or whatever you want to call it back in the day. Go there, and I had an opportunity to go. But the thing about it, I mentioned about that recorded delivery and how I felt I was treated at that time.
It put you off football.
Put me off football, and I mean, and then Alan Jones, my old coach, he got the highest runs for Glamorgan, a great man. Alan rang me up and said, look, all the boys are in university, and they're Glamorgan seconds. I hadn't played for a year. Tosh let me play for 1 summer, and then John Bond came, I couldn't play, so I didn't have a bat or anything. He said, look, we're playing Warwickshire seconds at St Helen, Swansea. He said, do you want to have a game? Yeah. In Glamorgan seconds. So I said, yeah, to borrow a bat. Right, that's the stage you've got to. And then, I don't know if you know these guys, but Tim Munton had a couple of games for England at bowler, and Brian McMillan played a lot for South Africa opening bowler. They opened the bowling against me. I was in first. I got a couple of 80s. And then, do you want to play the next game? It was against Worcester away. Got 80-odd first innings there. But to be honest, never looked back. And with regards to the direction I was going to go, I mean, I played for Merthyr, in the Southern League at the time. And I quite enjoyed that, but I reckon I haven't played 50 senior games of football since I was 19. It's amazing, isn't it? Okay. Because everything, we talk about 4 times a week and then the training and everything, but I just fell out of love with it really, because it's funny, and someone makes a big impression of it when, the way things end, and that was my first, I suppose, massive body blow. That was, I had the thing at 12, 13, but I was a kid then, and that's just, roll with it a bit. But that was a professional thing, and I still never, even now, I never feel very confident. When I was at Sussex, I second guessing myself, am I doing a good job, am I not? Because of that body blow when I was 9. It must be that, they're pretty negative.
They do say things that happen early in childhood do affect you in future.
Did you feel like at that point when you got let go, did you feel like you failed at that point?
Oh yeah, massive.
In your head, like
massive.
Failure.
Don't forget, everyone's watching you as well. All the kids that you went to school with and stuff like that, they're all watching you going up, and God, living the dream. Swansea City First Division club, And then it's funny though, my old man, brilliant. Like he had a great way of bringing me down to earth when I played well, or boosted me when I did badly, But when I had that, and the dust settled a little bit, it was straight into that cricket season, and they offered me, I had a 2-month contract then, July and August, with a view to a year the next year, at Glamorgan. I had a winter then, right, not doing anything really, so I played for Merthyr. I got 50 quid a game. My father had the haulage business, right, so basically he says, right, come and work for me in the winter, because you're not going to stuff, he didn't say stuff up, you know where I am very well, but it was a bit cruder than that. You're not gonna mess up the second opportunity here with Glamorgan. He said, just come and work with me. I said, right, fair enough. So I was a grease monkey, 35 quid, cash in hand. Do you know why he gave me cash in hand? Because he made me go and sign on every fortnight. Horrendous. Just been at the Swans, right? Played for the Swans the year before, and I had to go every other Tuesday, sign on the Swans. And it was nothing for the money. He could have given me a lot more than that. It was. Listen, this is what could happen.
Sort yourself out.
Wow.
So I look back on that. That was from how bad the recorded delivery was, and how other people might view that now. especially in the world we're in now. That was the best thing. That was the best thing he could have done for me. Proper. He knew me inside out. So this was, listen, I know you're going to hate every second of this, but you're going to hate it down the job centre more. And so crack on, like, do you know what I mean? So,
wow, that's amazing. That's powerful.
Isn't it?
And blimey. And it's hard, isn't it? But then what's like, so your relationship with failure? Like, how is that over the years? Then even going in, obviously, then you went on to great success in the cricket, and you know, to live as a sportsman, whatever, and to play football and then go and play cricket as well. Like, has that changed then for you in your mindset? Have you put that to bed? That failure, you know,
I still look at both the sporting careers as 5.5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. Could have done better. I do, because I wanted to play for England. Even though I was better at football and cricket, once you got into the cricket, I was aspiring. I want to play for England, like everyone does. And I played one game, like a representative game against Australia in '96, I think it was, and that's as far as I got. And I saw a lot of my colleagues, Robert Croft, Matthew Maynard, Hugh Morris, all play for England. Steve Watkin, we grew up together. Glamorgan side were all ex-Welsh schoolboys who came together and won a championship. Viv Richards weren't bad. He was all right, like he helped a bit. But still, I saw them all get to play for England. So I always look back on my career and think, you know, I didn't quite hit where I wanted to in cricket either. And that's not. It does sound really negative, but I loved it. But if you ask me, do a synopsis of your sporting career, I'll say 6 if I'm lucky, 5.5, 6, because I never got to where I got. The team did. And I did well within that team. So we won 2 championships and stuff like that. But personally, I always look back and think, you know, all that hard graft, I never got to where. So tinged with quite a bit of disappointment my sporting career, to be honest.
Because when you play for Glamorgan, you got to correct me if I've got any of this wrong.
Please correct it.
Yeah, please correct me. 197 matches for Glamorgan, scoring over 10,000 runs. 21 centuries, but you turned down an offer for renewing your contract with Glamorgan in 1998, didn't you? What happened there?
I stubborn little bug. I look at it now. Glamorgan could have handled it better, and so could I, really. I was offered a 2-year contract. I was vice captain of the team. We won the championship the year before last, and was my worst year in '97. I'd gone 94, 5 and 6. I'd averaged over 50. 27 I averaged as vice captain when we won the championship, and I struggled. And then the next year, 98, I got back up into the 30s, still not quite. And I think there was a bit of a feeling at my best years gone. So I was offered a 2 and I asked for a 3 because of benefit systems back then. And I was 7 years capped. I needed 3 to get me to 10 years capped.
Right.
And I thought, well, look, if that's what they think, I mean, let's get myself to 10 years cap, and then we'll reassess if I get a benefit. It's not a given, but if I get a benefit, at least I'm eligible. And in those days, the chief exec did the money, the salary, and the committee decided on the length of contract. So chief exec gave me a bit more money. I said, it's not about money, I need the extra year. And they wouldn't budge. So then I rung Chris Adams up, because I knew Chris, and also I liked being by the sea, Swansea boy, and I always enjoyed it down Brighton and Hove. So I rang up and said, listen, would you take me on a 5-year contract? Because a 5-year contract would probably then, I suppose, subsidise the fact I'm not going to get a benefit. That's what I thought. Okay? Now, he said, wait a sec. And he said excuse me to someone. It was Matthew Maynard, my captain at Glamorgan. He was at the end of season do that I didn't go to for some reason. So like a PCA do,
All right.
So he said, right, Peter Moore's, we'll come up and we'll meet you. So they said 4. I said, look, I cannot come in for 4. It has to be a 5-year deal. And we shook hands on it before we were allowed to do it. We shook hands on it, back in the day. And he said, will you sign? I said, I'm not signing anything, got my word. I then went back to Glamorgan, rang all my mates, told them I was going. Nah, don't be daft. They always thought of me as someone who changed their mind. I always changed my mind, shocking. And so what could they say now? So one time you never changed your mind. And so I went back, and then all of a sudden the committee's ringing up, what can we do to make you stay? Well, I said, nothing, over the last 2 months we've been talking about this. So they didn't handle it well. I got stubborn, and so the following year I was up at Sussex, and it's funny actually because Toby Pierce, who I think, do you know Toby Quaff Wines?
Yeah.
Toby was playing for Sussex against me in '98, my last year, God, we give him some almighty stick. Because we're only Welsh county, we used to get into a lot of the teams, verbally and that.
What, on the pitch?
Oh, yeah. When he
sledging?
Oh, man. Right, he got out in this really ridiculous position. We had 2 people with helmets on the leg side, close to the bat, and he came in, and he got a bit of a strut. Juice, I call him, carrot juice, a carrot stuck up his arse. I always call him Juice, right? And he came in, and he looked at these 2 fielding positions. First ball, right, and he just tutted like that. Right? First ball, he went there, edged it off his glove into, and we give him the biggest send off you've ever heard, right? So I go in for pre-season. Next year, I'm a Sussex player. Who's the first person? Hello, Toby. Please meet you. So I still see a load of it now, So we always remind each other of that.
Oh, I didn't know that about him, but that's funny.
Yeah, he's a good player.
All right, okay. Because we talked about joining Sussex and Chris Adams. You never looked back really after that, as far as your cricket career was concerned, because you spent 6 seasons with Sussex, made 74 appearances, scoring nearly 4,000 runs, 10 centuries in that one. What was the highlight of your career? I think I know the answer, but what was the highlight?
Yeah, to be fair, as you said, I was lucky enough to win the championship with Glamorgan and Sussex. And I won a Sunday League with Viv Richards, and Glamorgan hadn't won anything for 24 years in '93, and I was 27, and Viv was always my heroes. That's... Yeah. Well, I watched Viv.
Proper ledge.
He got 291 at the Oval in 1976 when I was a 10-year-old, and it was on terrestrial telly, and I watched it. I thought, fantastic. So I get to play with him for 3 years, and I'm batting 5 and he's batting 6, or vice versa, or whatever. So you get to play with your hero, and then that game at Canterbury, we hadn't won anything, and the Welsh really get behind their team when you're doing well. Yeah. BBC Wales followed us all the games. So we go to Canterbury, they're top, we're second, we win, they win the Sunday League, they win the Sunday League. So there was thousands and thousands went up there, and it got to the stage where we were struggling a little bit. We were 4 down, me and Viv batting, and we put on 60 odd to win the game unbeaten. Won the first thing for 24 years. I get the winning runs, straight drive over the keeper's head.
Brilliant.
Top edge over the keeper's head. and running off together. It's the kind of iconic photo that's used quite a lot at Glamorgan and stuff like that. Is me and Viv running off together and a crowd coming on. And it really, on a personal note, never really got better than that, because... Wow. And then, funnily enough, the games then were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, championship games and 40 games with a Sunday in between. And Viv got out before me, got 50 in the first innings. Then I'm undefeated with Viv on the Sunday, and then he gets 80 off about 30 balls on the Monday, because we were all a bit pissed from the celebrations, because we were out of the game on the Monday. Yeah. And I was not out. I got when he left the field, I got 50 odd, and so I'm batted the last 3 times he ever played professional cricket. I was the one who was batting with him. Wow, so that did it get any better than that? Not really, no.
That's
not
incredible.
Even medals or anything. Yeah, so
that's an incredible. And you've only got memories for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's extraordinary, because he was a proper. So Viv Richards was. A legend of the game, wasn't he? No, I'm not.
He always goes, he don't know.
No, because to me that was perhaps not so much Glamorgan in my head.
Yeah.
For me, Viv Richards was when it was Somerset.
Yeah.
And it was Somerset, and it was with. I vaguely recall Big Joel Garner.
Yeah. Both, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Both was there.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, and they were just. That was an immense. So as a kid, when I was growing up, Viv Richards was if I'd known, it would have been Tony Cottey that I would have been, looking up to. And, well, I say looking up to. You say in the loosest possible. So sorry. Yes.
Yeah, but are you right? Or you transcend? You talk about boxing back in the day. You had Muhammad Ali, didn't you?
Yeah.
Transcend this sport. Viv, because of his character, his swagger, and his confidence, and that he definitely transcended. We had him down, didn't we, at the wet cricket meets at Sussex.
Yeah, I missed that one. I was gutted.
10 years ago, 10 years ago, and you know the boundary rooms as well as Cow Corner now. They could hold on a match day 24 tables of 10. We had 285 in there, and I could have sold it about 3 times over.
Wow!
Yeah, it was a proper one.
Amazing,
just because of his aura,
Yeah.
That's
He still holds it. Yeah.
Having that, like you said, on a personal note, to play with an idol and what a magical experience. But looking over that, your sort of career. I always talk about, certainly on the business one, about getting to those moments where they're magical moments. You sort of remember they're the highlights of your career. But do you look back over them and go, how much you enjoyed the journey of it as well? And did you take the time to really? Do you look back now and go, they were amazing times, really, of being as a cricketer?
The different times as well, right? Because you know the stories of the Market Diner in Brighton and buddies and a few sportsmen out there when they possibly shouldn't have been in maybe it's in the 80s and stuff like that. Well, my cricket career was a social. It was a very social because it's a bit like when Wenger came to Arsenal, they reckon they had a drinking culture, but when he came, apparently he got the foreigners in, and you either get on the bus or jump off, don't you? Well, I played through a lot of the social time of cricket where boys are going to have a few beers after the game, and so the memories are not just confined to the pitch. There was a lot of good nights out and stuff like that.
Anything you want to talk about?
Not really, thank you. Off your chest. Well, thank you for asking.
That's all right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
As for the second episode.
The X-rated version. X-rated version.
Mate, go on.
You retired. Unfortunately, it came round to it in 2004.
Yeah, that's another good one because you're all about
as a player.
You see how I view myself, right?
Yeah.
I didn't, in my world, didn't do brilliantly for Sussex, right? But in 2003, I had a massive year when we won the championship.
Yeah, exactly.
A massive year, right? Yeah. So then they said that was the end of my 5-year contract. So they said, "Do you want to have another year?" I didn't know what I was going to do. Right? I probably should have finished then. I didn't know what I was going to do. And Peter Moore said to me, "Look," he said, "we're going to sign Ward, the Sky presenter." Cricket Sky presenter.
Oh, yeah.
Well, right. So we're going to sign him, Ian Ward, right? And I had a couple of drinks last night. I forgot his first name, man. Ian Ward, right? So you're going to sign him. And to be honest, you're 38. Will you captain the second team? And if he signs, but we're not sure if we're going to sign him. And if we don't, we need you there if you don't sign. I said, yeah, fine. But I said, don't forget about me if I'm doing well in the set. So no problem. So I ended up getting back in the first team, and I got my first game mid-season. I got 185. I captained the Nashi, Ben Brown, and people like that in the seconds, and we were close to winning that T20. It was great fun, right? Because the pressure was off, and then so I got back in, and then back in that mindset of trying to do well, for the first team, and it was great. And I mean, the end of that season, Mushy's in my ear, Mushtaq Ahmed, right in my ear. He said, you should go into him and ask him for another year. Go and ask him for another year. And I was just finishing my career. No pressure. Yeah. Once I started thinking, I'm going to have another year, my form dipped. I went in to ask him, and he said, we'll see at the end of the season. By that time, my form had dipped. Right. So I don't believe I retired. You can look at it which way you like. Okay. I believe that's sacking number 2.
Oh, okay.
Do you know, because, in the world of cricket, it was that I was finishing. And it was good. Sussex played it out like that. Yeah. But I was up for another year. So it's funny, isn't it? Go back. It's a lot. I've got to be honest, when anyone listening to this is I'm going to hang myself because it's pretty negative. But, but it's pretty honest about how I see it. That's why I say 6 out of 10 could do better.
Right. Okay.
On all of it, really.
I forgive me. I haven't asked you, and I didn't. I skipped that, and I didn't mean to. But it'd be remiss of us not to talk about how you felt during that fabulous season for Sussex, winning the title, and I mean, it was an amazing time, wasn't it, to be a Sussex player?
Oh, yeah. What was it, 164 years or something daft like that? I never won the championship. To be part of that, you talk about legacy and stuff like that. I mean, the 13 or 14 who played in that team, there were some brilliant players for Sussex. Imran Khan, Tony Gregg, Dexter, people like that. Back in the day, lots more.
Yeah, long time ago.
But we'll always be one of the first 14 or 15 who played in that year to win the championship for Sussex. So that's pretty special. And when I won it with Glamorgan, they were all Welsh schoolboys who'd grown together as a team, got beaten by England schoolboys when you're under 11s, 12s, 13s, and then we're the only Welsh county and we go and win it. That's really special to share that with people who've grown up since you've been 11 with. And I get asked which was the better one. Of course, it's a real tough one because Sussex, the amount of passion for the team at that year, and the crowds for the 4-day game packing out the ground for 4-day cricket and that. And then when they stopped, we needed a batting point to win it. So we were all in the dressing room, apart from Chris Adams and Murray, I think, Murray Goodwin. And when it hit the run that got us to the point that won us the championship, Phil de Freitas, the Leicester captain, said, yeah, stop the game. And we had a 10, all of us came on a pitch. We did a lap of honour, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it was fantastic, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm very proud to be Welsh, but British as well. But so the Welsh thing is kind of tugs one side, but listen, I've been embraced up here by Sussex in two careers, and not just by Sussex Club, the people around here as well, because it was a networking relationship job. So I was welcomed with open arms over here. So I've got a massive, you know, pull here. I'm living here now, and I've set up. So difficult question, or difficult thing to answer about which was the one that.
Both magical moments, obviously.
And obviously you became a business relationship manager. I don't know anyone else that's got that title, business relationship manager.
I didn't either, because I asked my old man, what do I do? So I don't bloody know. Drove lorries.
That was 2009.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Robbo was instrumental in that. Mark Robinson. We always said that we'd try and, if we got into coaching, one of us would take the other one and stuff like that. And I applied for the second team job, but I didn't want to come up here for 12 months a year at that time. And I believe I would have had it, but because I wanted to commute, or not commute, but you know what I mean, 6 months on like cricket and then go back to us. That didn't happen. So when Neil Lennon finished doing that job, Robbo rang me up and said, look, you know, they're looking for someone with a big liver who can talk shit.
We've tried everyone. We've tried everyone else.
Yeah. So he said, you know, it's very much look after the Players Club. I knew them, you know, the sponsors there, and Dave Brooks was CEO at the time, and he said, look, I just want you to keep what we got in the Players Club and make contacts around the place. And it was hard 2 years, because you know what Brighton's like, the networking, and I mean, I was going out 3, 4, 5 times a week, and then doing your job the next day. That was hard work. And then once you built that kind of reputation, you know, I'm not saying I was out all the time, but I certainly, you know, I relished it, to be honest.
It's difficult to get out of it.
No, I did relish it until I got like maybe the last 3 or 4 years, and I started finding it hard. Then once I passed like 50 and stuff like that, gone out continuously.
It takes its toll, doesn't it?
Do you know what it does? It mentally takes its toll on you, in that you get a few blue days in the morning. You know, that's what I was finding. I was saying, I'm not fussed on this. And that was probably the major reason why I did leave Sussex, you know, when I did, was that part of it, having a COVID time where I was on furlough, and then real healthy living, you know, in that. And then I think, I'm not sure I want to go back to that, you know, that networking life again. And after dinner speaking, it started to make me anxious. After dinner speaking, I wasn't enjoying it, you know. So those were the two major pulls, really, to try something new.
So how much was it a challenge for you to go from playing to being in the commercial world, you know, for making that step across?
The fact that I played, this is going back to Wales now. When I went back, as I mentioned to you, my mate's wife got me the interview, so I was a training advisor, and I was on a third of the money that I was on at Sussex. And then what I did, I pro'd in the leagues. I captained the team in the leagues for 3 years. So I was still enjoying playing then. And it was all young kids, well, three senior ones with me, and then all young kids, and we won it with Neath. It was great. So I got paid for doing that. I then had a newspaper column. I did after dinner speaking. I was commentating for BBC Radio Wales, and I was coaching. Right, the Wales under 15s. So I had about 30 days a year. All my holidays were spent on that. So I made up my money, so to speak, on all other things. So in answer to your question, the sport got me the foot in the door without a shadow of a doubt. And I often wonder when I come up to Sussex, would I have made a fist of it if I worked as a business relationship manager for a solicitor, say, doing the same thing, going around the network like we all do, or was it the fact that I was the ex-cricketer and I was selling cricket products
and
fits in perfectly.
It's going to be that, isn't it?
I always kind of I always wondered whether that was the case. So it was massive. You know, I used it, but it was who I was, and I was the newspaper column didn't pay a lot. The commentary was quite nice, but what it did, your name's always banded after you played. So for those 2 years, it was great. And then an ex Glamorgan player, Mike Llewellyn, he was setting up a cricket arm to his snooker business. He had snooker maintenance all around England and stuff like that. So he gave me an idiot's guide on snooker tables and what they should be looking for when they need recovering and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was half my job, and then I set up Absolute Cricket showroom for him. So I used my contacts to get all the bats in Neil Lennon at Newbury and all the different grey nickels and also that. So I kind of run that, and a lot of people thought it was mine, but I set it up for him. Yeah. So that was my next job. So I was a lot of sales. I was going to selling like tour gear for someone's going on tour cricket team. I kit them out and that, and obviously the bats, pads, gloves, and so, and that's when I got the phone call from Robbo to leave. So that's what I was doing then.
But there's so many things, like we talk about the changing room banter. I mean, look, you're a people person, and we met at a boundary club, and you just be able to communicate, build relationships with people, and that you take that, and when you look at it, when you go into business and networking or whatever it can be like that changing room thing.
I built my dress sense off you.
I always.
I never had a waistcoat until I met you.
I was going to bring you a cap with the street look today, but anyway. But yeah, I think I'll get you a cap next time.
Yeah, thanks.
But I think that's such an important. It's just that level of communication and that building relationships. Like I'm a relationship manager, but you can talk to people and you can go and and you must have being around that. I say it for me. I played football, not obviously at that sort of stand, but even whatever level you play at, cricket's. But if you play at a team sport, you've got changing room banter, and you take that, being able to go into a networking group and be able to just go and hold a conversation and have a bit of banter with people and build relationships. You take that skill from that.
Yeah, but it's one of those skills. It's not like, you got your accountant's certificate or you got. No. Do you know what I mean? You
don't get GCSE in it.
No, you don't. But it's something that is part of your personality because of the experiences you had, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, the minute I suppose you think you're good at it, means you're not very good at it. Because the fact that you don't think you're any good at it, you're not even thinking about it. You're just doing what you do, and at the end of it, don't be hard sell, isn't it? That people, there's that saying. I was told, people buy off people. Because like I said, I didn't know what networking was. Before I came up here, and they said people buy off people. So I thought, well, how are you going to do that? Well, just make as many mates as you can. Yeah. And that's what I've done. I'm so lucky up here that, God, the amount that job has given me so many friends up here is unbelievable. I feel more comfortable up here than I would if I went back to Wales. I got obviously childhood friends that I kept in touch with Glamorgan, but it's brilliant.
Couldn't agree more.
And those little clubs you put together, the lunch clubs, and you're on about 5 of them. They all got a WhatsApp group, and I think, God, I can't go to all them. That's why I got out of the cricket. But that you're still in touch with everyone because of that. Which is brilliant. Very welcoming place, Brighton.
How did obviously you when you left, finally pulled yourself away from the cricket club? You went and set up a business. Tell me about how that came about.
Well, you know Lindsay. You met her on your spoofing Lindsay's like a workaholic. She wants doing the next thing, and she always had this thing. She wanted to set up a bakery, not her own job. She's into property and things like that. But she always wanted a bakery, and she found this place on Shoreham, the Beach Cafe, and it was just before COVID. And all through it, we're thinking, all right. And I was thinking, God, do I want to do this? like a cafe. And we went to Booker's, and we had a big argument on the size of baked bean tins and tomato sauce tins. I said, we can't be doing a cafe, man. We can't even agree on what size baked bean tins we should be getting and stuff like that, do you know what I mean? So as it happened, COVID kicked in, and we thought, we had sort of give a cold feet on this. So we pulled our offer out, and then it started to loosen off, and we were walking past it, and I just saw Joe's Ice Cream. Joe's Ice Cream is like an institution in Swansea. They queue round the corner for these ice creams, and it's only vanilla. That's this special recipe. Right, okay. I think about 4 outlets now, and my daughter had worked for them during school and things like that. And I thought, well, that would work here. Straight over the bridge, you've got a pizza place, you've got a chippy, you've got a restaurant. That would complement all them. So COVID kind of was in and out at the time, so we went on these Zoom courses. We're going to make our own ice cream. And then we decided against that in the end, the making of it, because we found someone local who's, had his own dairy herd, cow to comb. So we did it that way, and we thought, right, we'll do that. We do that. And it literally, you talk about planning, what's that? Do you know what I mean? It was, should we do ice cream? Yeah, go on, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Let's put another offer in. All right, put another offer, and that was that.
So same place, and
Yeah, same place, yeah.
Wow.
And then we refurbed it, you know. And again, we took a little bit of advice, especially from the guy who supplies us and the people who put the freezers in and things like that. But it's amazing, right? How you need a good flow in that place to turn around about, because when it's busy, like maybe 60 an hour,
right.
You can get this queues when it's really sunny, right?
Okay.
And I think more by luck than judgment, we got that quite good as well. You know what I mean? Everyone's in the right place. Everything's because when you set something up like that, you can, if you get that wrong at the start, it's a lot of money to turn it around. So we're kind of lucky like that as well.
Yeah.
You know. So my old man always said it's more important to be lucky and rich.
Wow.
He didn't quite say that. He said, "Put you in shit and you'd smell a roses." Kind of thing. But I was, you know, I wouldn't say it was all kind of off the cuff kind of thing. We did sit down, but we were lucky that the decisions we made refurbing it worked well. And it's a similar thing. You're meeting people all the time.
Yeah.
And again, I say to Linz, you know, if someone comes in for an ice cream with a smile on their face and they leave you miserable, we are shit at our job.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing to be doing, isn't it? Ice cream and stuff like that.
Yeah,
On a nice sunny day, kids are coming in, you know.
Yeah.
And
looking
at all the flavours, it's fantastic.
Exactly.
Decent. You've been down there?
I've been down there once.
Decent
yeah,
ice cream,
yeah,
mate.
yeah, very
Decent
nice,
ice cream.
very good.
Yeah, well, I'll give him a rap actually. It's Latchett's Farm is the guy who get the grant from Latchett's Farm. They've got a similar outlet up north of Uckfield, but it's his own dairy herd.
Okay.
And it is cow to the comb. Is
Wow.
milk, and he makes it on, you know.
Fantastic.
And, yeah, it's really, you know,
Love
good guy as well. So yeah,
That's how it all came about.
yeah.
And
Super Scooper.
Did you say Super Scooper?
Super Scooper.
But the time I went down to see you, and he just poked his head round the fridge, and he's like, "Come out here, mate, come out." Got out in the fridge. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Bless
Absolutely
you. No,
brilliant.
it's brilliant. You've done really well with that.
Oh, it's amazing.
Is it where it needs to be? Been open a year now?
Yeah, we've done a
Over
full year. You needed to find a full year, and after a year, we decided that the weather's quite windy in Shoreham, especially in the winter. It gets cold, and a lot of people stay the other side of the bridge in the winter. So, again, it suits me down to the ground. Is that if we can work really hard for 8 months, you know, it's difficult to keep ice cream if it's not being used. You know, so in the winter, it's difficult to keep 18 different flavours going and stuff like that. So it's better to just do it when the sun shines and then, you know, park off in the winter.
No, I remember you telling me not that long ago that I said, "Oh, how's it going?" And you said to me, you sent me. Forgive me if I've got this wrong. You said to me, "I've never worked so hard in my life doing that." That's
On the summer, do you know it's a funny job, right? Because yeah, you do when it's really busy, you haven't got time to eat. It is like that. It's conveyor belt and everything. But then that's all right. What's really bad was like in November when it fell off the edge of a cliff and you've still got to put the 8 hours in there and there's no one coming in because of the weather and that. And that's the bit, it's quite depressing. Right? So that's why it definitely is. You can see people doing seasonal businesses in Brighton. And that's the reason why, you know, because somebody, "Oh, you're closed." Yeah, but you'd have been the only one person that day coming in, you know. You can't run it like that. So it took us a year to find that out, I think. And last April was fantastic because last April everyone had nowhere to go. It was COVID. It was blazing hot. It was Easter. This April hasn't been quite as good because the weather hasn't been as good, and maybe people have gone away a bit. But it's still a nice business there, you know, and it ticks a lot of boxes for me because you get to meet a lot of people, and also if I need to go and do something like this, you know, I can go and do it because I can get a bit of cover. I can go and do it, you know, which you're on the end of the phone all the time, and as you know, a full-time job and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, because I remember that with the salon as well when I first had the salon.
Oh, here we go. During the war. Sorry.
Just let me have me moment. Then we'll wind your neck in. But it was that business.
Sorry.
I'm making a point here. But I remember that feeling. Weather was such a big thing, even for us, like with hairdressing. On a White Monday or something like that, them days with distract you. No one coming in, and you know, how many you got booked in a day? Yeah, 2. Brilliant. Okay, and you know it's going to be that long day, but
it's hard work, guys.
Mate, graft.
I've got a couple more things to ask, Cotts, if that's all right. I mean, obviously, just bringing it back, recently it was announced that you were coming back to the cricket club alongside Chris Adams, I believe, back to Sussex to join the committee. And I for overseeing the development of the club and the progress of the young players that we have now. Have I got that right?
It's a cricket committee, right? Obviously, they got a board. Sussex got a board which ultimately Rob as CEO is answerable to. But at Glamorgan, even when I was playing, they had a cricket committee underneath as well. It's usually ex-players.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously the CEO sits in and maybe the chairman and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just and the head director of cricket is basically discussing where the team is at the moment, what they need. It's like a bit of a brainstorming, really.
Yeah.
And I think what they got Chris Adams from who's outside of the club, brought him back in, get his views. And I think mine was because I'd worked both sides. I'd played and I was in the commercial side. And look, it's not rocket science. I mean, I watch a lot of the cricket. I'm in the Players Club anyway. I've joined the Players Club at the ground. So I mean, it was a consulting kind of role, but that sounds too posh. Really, it's not. You sit in and they say, well, so and so's injured. What do you think? Do we need to get someone else in? Do we need someone on loan? Do we need overseas? What overseas can't come now? Right, we need to get another one. And you start. It's just that kind of thing. It's not as it's certainly a voluntary thing. It's about 6-8 meetings.
Right.
But obviously keeping an eye on what's going on and that. And when asked your opinion, give a balanced view, I suppose. I mean, Sussex for me at the moment, it's got two strands, if you like. You've got the T20 side, which is a very competitive team that I suppose everyone's hoping will win it or go to finals day or at least get home quarter final. And then you've got the youngsters in our red ball cricket now. And how many games will we win this year? I'm not really sure how many games we're going to win, but ultimately there's been some fantastic performances by the youngsters. I think now's the time, as a Sussex fan, we need to be getting behind the youngsters, because in 2-3 years' time they could be winning things. But at the moment, there's individual successes to be celebrated.
Yeah.
I mean,
The encouragement.
Yeah, I mean, Ali O yesterday got 99. Gutted for him, he didn't get his 100, but he's looked great this year. Real solid player. Tom Haynes is going from strength to strength. Tom Clark got 100. And I'm going to miss people out here, but there's been some bowling performances as well. But you can tell I was a batter, can't I? but ultimately, it's great to have all these kids playing in that. So I think there's a bit of patience on one side.
Yeah.
And on the other side, I do hope we go to finals day in September. It's a great day out.
Yeah.
We're putting pressure with it, but that's the kind of strands of the club. And I think it's exciting time to be a Sussex supporter. If you can remember back before 2000 and odd, when we hadn't won anything for a while before that. And then look what happened, and that was all a spine. I know you had token midget Welshman come over, but basically it was a spine of Sussex. Lewry, Kirtley, people like that. The ball, Martin Jenkins in the ball and things like that. So they all came through Matt Pryor. So they were all a spine pretty much was Sussex, and I think that's where they're going with this team. So, as I said, not rocket science. It's just pop in. It's quite enjoyable, to be honest with you. The nicest thing is the badge of someone wanting you to come back to the club. That's what I like about it. Thank you very much. It's a bit of an honour, really.
Yeah.
And
quite right.
And just do it without any agendas, and just let's hope in a year or two time we'll see all those kids coming through and maybe playing for England and winning things for Sussex.
I'm glad you didn't elaborate on finals day. Obviously. You're thinking what?
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. I remember that.
I never actually. I've never had it said in black and white. But when you were talking about, I'd allude to you retiring, or I'd allude to you being moving on, and you called it sacking. Well, that was a similar thing. We've talked about that before. I think one season, I forget which year it was. I think it was 2018.
I'm not surprised you've forgotten.
I think, I tried to wipe it from my memory.
No more spoof, mate.
No, it was that season. I was Sid the Shark.
Yeah, the mascot race.
And I had to go to the mascot race, and I'd said I didn't want to go to the mascot race, and they said, look, don't worry about it. If you turn up, just do whatever you can do. You're going to have a branded sponsor shirt on. Be there, and if it messes up, don't worry about it. The sponsor's going to get coverage. It's on Sky TV. 20,000 people at Edgbaston. So I've turned up and I've got in the change rooms. I'm like slightly nervous. It is. I've got in the change rooms. Bear in mind, this was, 4 years ago or whatever it was. So I'm sat in the changing rooms. I'm looking around at all the other mascots that are representing all the other counties, probably in their 20s. So I'm double their age, looking at them going, I've got absolutely no chance. And I remember we all donned our outfits on and we had to get led through the sort of all the drunken revellers to get to the start. And it was a hot day, I remember that. And that's my excuse. And I remember getting the start, and I'm stood in the corridor waiting for us to get the signal to go through. Some bloke says to me, "Go on, Sid, I've got some money on you, mate." And I'm like, I wanted to say to him, "Well, that's a fucking waste of time, isn't it?" So excuse my French. And I got out there, and I remember, because I could see it, if you Google it from that particular year, I made myself get at the front because I think I was kind of in the top 1 or 2 for about 3 feet, and then my boot came off, and it was a complete disaster after that. Didn't finish the race, completely lost my bearings, didn't know where I was. Took so long. They were waiting to start the game that they'd actually taken down half the obstacle course, and I'm looking around going, where do I go? And it's because I'd taken so long, I'd got trapped under the netting, I couldn't get out of the ball pit. It was an absolute disaster. And I knew it had gone badly because no one really talked to me, so this was on the Saturday, and on the Monday I had to take the outfit back to the club. And I walked in, and there was a sort of awkward silences between people, and I was just like, yeah. And I think Sean Hill was the marketing manager at the time. And I asked him, and I said, and he said, it's not up to me. He said, what's happened is they've the committee, the organisers have decided that they need to freshen things up a minute, so they won't be renewing your contract for Sid the Shark. And it was like, I could not believe I'd been sacked as a mascot.
Like, I'm going to put that clip in on this episode.
Yeah.
That's what's going to kick you
off. Is that how you remember it?
Absolutely.
And I got sacked.
And there's a lot of kids around Sussex who now know that Sid the Shark is not a shark, he's got a male foot, because the boot came off. Shattered their dreams.
I blame the fact that no one helped me get changed. You need someone to help you get changed.
Look at the little flipper there, no flipper, mate.
Yeah.
Just a big size 11.
Taxi. Right, I've got one more question.
Right.
Cotts, you've met many famous people over your years. Who was the best?
The best?
Or the funniest, memorable story sticks out? I can think of one, because you've told me before, but I don't know whether that is still the case.
What did I tell you? Robbie Williams.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Well, that was quite random, because I went to South Africa as a youngster. And I met a good lad out there, and I brought him back to play club cricket in Wales, and he had to get a job, so he was down the local holiday camp. And in that holiday camp was Pete Conway, who was Robbie Williams' dad, and he was the comedian, he was the MC, the host, or whatever. And so Robbie used to come down there before, take that, and during, take that, to get away from it, get away from. So I got to meet him. I'm still good friends with his dad, and well, I think I was at Glamorgan at the time, and Pete rang me up and said, "Look, Robbie's playing in Cardiff. When he went solo. Then, do you want to go with my ex-wife now? Do you want to go?" So I said, "Yeah, fine." So we went up there. We go after the concert. We went back into his dressing room, and they were clearing away the main standing area, and he was having his food. So we went in and had a drink with him, and I had a good drink through the concert. He says, "Right, come on in, one on one." So I said, "What do you mean?" Got a basketball hoop up, right, where the auditorium was. So I'm playing 1-on-1 with Robbie Williams, drunk and 5'4", playing basketball. I said, "I was taking a piss." Anyway, so we played basketball. So then back on the coach, and the coach all blackened out windows and everything. He didn't go on the coach. He sent me, my ex-wife, and 2 other friends as well from the holiday camp, and we went back with Pete. So I'm putting my hand out the window, like, can't see who it is, and they're all screaming. So I said, "Tell me about any adulation in my life." I think my little hand out the window thing is Robbie Williams. Back to the hotel, he's got the whole penthouse suite, all the back-end dancers, all the production people were there. I remember this table we were on here was all Budweiser bottles in a big pyramid like that, champagne and everything. And we stayed till 4 o'clock in the morning, just talking. Myself, Pete and him about his career and bits and bobs.
Wow.
Drunk at night.
Cool.
Left about at 4 in the morning.
What
So
a great
that's-
story.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Great story.
Basketball.
I love that.
Who'd have thought? I tell you what, that's one of those ones. What was that? Call My Bluff. Do you remember that back in the day? Call My
Yeah,
Bluff.
yeah, yeah,
You had to
yeah.
give a true or a.
Yeah.
If I came out and said I played basketball, I just stood up like this.
Yeah,
Played basketball when I was.
I suppose you say call my bluff. Would I lie to you?
Yeah,
I like
I'm
to
old
say,
now.
It's that
I'm
one,
old.
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm old now.
Yeah, you'd come up with that and say that story, and people have to work out whether you're lying or telling the
That's
truth.
it. You've got 3 stories, something like that. Haven't you?
You'd have that down as a
Love
fake,
that.
couldn't you?
Love that.
That's hilarious. Nice one, Cotts.
Awesome.
I'm pleased you
Mate.
enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Well, brilliant, Zara, mate. It's brilliant. It's awesome.
Are you done?
Love that, mate. You know what, mate? It's been look, great to get to know you. Obviously, over the years with the Boundary Club and everything, and I think it's brilliant to go and see. Obviously, what you've done with Cotts and Linz as well, and congratulate. Wish you obviously continued success.
Well, she fought hard on that, mate. She wanted Linz and Cotts. I resorted to alphabetical order.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you not say I'm the face fan, do you?
Yeah, you're the legend.
Legend,
Bless her. I can say that now. She's not in the room.
Yeah, I'm frightened of her too.
Yeah. No, bless you. Thank you, Cotts,
No, I
for
enjoyed it,
today.
man. It's good fun.
It's been immense and
absolutely.
lovely hearing your stories, and thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Mate, awesome.
Nice to see you,
Wish you all the best, mate. Top
Thanks.
man.
Cheers.
And that is a wrap, gentlemen.
Thank you very
Cool.
much.
Right.